Your coffee, sir.
All right. How do good podcast people start podcasts? I certainly don't know how to sit.
I don't know. I feel very relaxed.
There's only
I'm about to tell you everything wrong with the world.
I can't.
And I'm so convinced that I'm right.
Dude, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
The lack of professionalism is quite astounding, I've got to say. I also did not have mine on silent, but since it happened to you.
By the way, it's 9:13. So let's try to be done here by about 9:45 at the latest, because my flight's at 11:50. And
typically when you start a podcast, you want to put the guest on edge, that there's a strict time limit. So I think this is exactly how professional podcasts start.
Okay.
Personally.
This is a companion video for what we have most likely already released. This is a long way from home. Flew in to do what? What are we doing? Or what have we done?
We have recorded the organ here at First Trinity Presbyterian Church in Laurel, or as we locals like to say, Laurel.
Laurel.
Just very quick, very swallow. The R is very important. All one syllable.
Very clear accent in these parts. Very different from my Texas accent.
Yeah. Though I would say it's
But
closer.
you don't have it because you have resisted.
Yeah, but my viewers on YouTube would disagree.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel like I have a very strong accent compared to the average person who lives here. Apparently it still comes through. And when I listen to myself while editing for hours, I can sometimes hear it sneak through for sure.
I am a YouTuber. Jameson Nathan Jones here, or as I've been calling him, Nathan, I think is acceptable.
That's perfectly fine.
Is also a YouTuber. We may talk some about YouTube. I don't know how much people care about YouTube, but I do think some people are interested in it. And it is a brutal, if you want to be knocked down to earth on a daily basis and then experience a high like you've never experienced, to me, it's like this little level of YouTube that we're at. Do you agree with that statement?
Totally. Because I think we've both experienced like the high that you get when something really exceeds your expectation. But for me, the most difficult times are always after that happens, and then I reset my expectation to be that.
Yeah.
And then of course it's never going to be that every time. You actually learn to cherish those moments more because they are rare. Last year is when my channel kind of took off a little bit. I shifted from talking just about synthesizers and production and sound design and doing gear reviews and all that kind of stuff that everyone was already doing. You know, I felt like I was just doing the same thing. To talking more about the music that I've been making and releasing for almost a decade now, and my process behind it. And I am classically trained, so I have a kind of a different background than a lot of people who just started with a laptop, you know. So I try to incorporate that in with the production side of things. So that's been kind of a fun experiment for me, and it's been interesting to see how that's resonated with other people. When I made that shift and had that success, I think I learned the wrong lesson. It was like, well, now I can make a video about anything that I want, and people are going to love it because obviously I'm a genius of some kind. We don't actually think that, but it does. You do start thinking like, okay, anything I do now is going to hit, you know. Yeah. And that's, as we both know, that's just not how it works.
Do you remember your first video?
I mean, my first videos were just like hardware synth jams, which is a word I don't like, but that's what they're called, so whatever. Yeah, I was just posting those along with the music I was releasing back in the day. So my YouTube channel just kind of hummed along at 1,000 subscribers or so for years. And then I got intentional. Well, maybe I could put more energy into this where people could see more of my personality. Yeah. Whereas I was just releasing music into the ether before and had some success on streaming and stuff. But I didn't want to play the streaming game of chasing algorithms with my music. Like, I could continue to release felt piano stuff. Yeah. And would probably have more success at this point on streaming, but I wanted to explore dark ambient and things like that and kind of infuse those things in a way that wasn't really conducive to playlisting. Yeah. And I didn't really want to play that game. So I said, well, maybe I'll try this YouTube thing and see if that can kind of run in parallel, and then combining the two has been kind of the thing that's worked the best. So I don't remember what your question was, but that's my answer.
I'm thinking about the next question. I stopped listening to you. Okay. So trying to learn to be a good interviewer.
Perfect.
In fact, I'm going to make sure that we're still recording, because that would be the best thing an interviewer could do.
Use those flip screens. There you go.
There we go. Now we have to look at ourselves.
Oh, I love it. You know I'm going to stare directly at the monitor now for the rest of this conversation.
Okay. Let's talk about Laurel. Let's talk about why here You're from here, but you
Yeah.
didn't leave here. I'm sure you considered all those things. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah, so
what got you there.
when I finished my master's degree at the University of Southern Mississippi, which is only about, 30 minutes down the road in Hattiesburg, I studied composition there, and so I knew I wanted to get into film scoring, which is kind of how it starts for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that got me into the whole, I had never opened a DAW. I had never made music on a computer. I was writing everything out and then putting it into Sibelius or Finale, writing for concert, writing for just absolute music, as they call it, where it's just to be performed by other people. But then I got interested in writing for films and things like that, and I was like, well, obviously I have to just drop everything and move to LA. So I took a trip out to LA. I don't know what I thought that was going to accomplish. I knew no one in LA. I know a lot more people now in LA than I did then, because I hadn't done anything. You know, there was no reason for anyone. I had no proof that I could do it because I couldn't. I thought I could. It seemed easier at the time than what I was doing, but I didn't really understand the whole process. So I went out there and I was like, I hate traffic. I don't really feel like I would get swallowed up out there.
Easy.
Yeah, and I think that happens to a lot of people. So I said, well, the internet is a thing. I know that.
It is a thing.
I don't know much, but I know that. And this was like 2014 when I made that trip out there. And I said, well, why don't I just go back home where I have some financial stability.
Yeah.
Cost of living way lower here
a little bit
than Los Angeles. I did have some savings because, I was fortunate to get scholarships and things for my college, talent scholarships, which is a good thing about music school. You do have access to more of that kind of stuff, even though you don't get paid a lot when you get done.
Yeah.
So I came back and I was like, I'm just going to learn Cubase. I'm going to learn how to use sample libraries. I'm going to try to figure out how to produce. So that was like all I did for the next couple of years was just experiment and try. And so I was making music for films that didn't exist, trying to recreate what I was hearing. And then at some point in about late 2015, early 2016, I had a weightlifting injury. I tore the labrum in this shoulder.
Nice.
And so I was basically in a sling for 6 weeks. I couldn't do anything much except watch YouTube. And I saw Spitfire's interview with Olafur Arnalds. And that kind of turned, I was like, wait a minute, he's making his own music. And then people are coming to him because of his sound. They want his sound. He's not pursuing, he's being pursued.
Yeah.
That mindset shift changed everything. And that's what I've tried to lean into. And I just started making, it's like, okay, what do I want to make?
Yeah.
What do I want to explore in this? Where's my voice in all of this? And from that point on, I've just focused on trying to go deeper into what my sound is, whatever that means, what my voice would be. Approach it like an artist, which is very different to like the production music world, right? You're very, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for that. It's just a different approach, and I didn't really want to do that. So I went all in on kind of betting on myself, I guess. And here we are. It's kind of worked itself out. It hasn't always been easy. It hasn't always, I've had so many things that have just flopped and that no one's ever listened to.
Oh, yeah.
But if you just keep doing it long enough, then things do break out and they bring in more people. And there are people out there who, whatever your sound is, even if it's really obscure, they will appreciate what you do. Yeah. And they'll feel like they're the only people who like that thing.
Yeah.
So
there is and one thing that I really want to talk more about on my channel going forward is there's this common thread that runs through all of us who are still doing music in some capacity. Like what's neat about you and I is we took completely different paths to kind of get to the same spot.
Yep.
I'm trying to learn aleatoric ways of thinking, which that is a joke probably from another video. And you're getting more into the production side of things. But it seems like everybody that has figured out a way to make a living in this world started just doing what they thought was the right thing for them to do, because you don't know any better, which you should. You should just do the things that people who you trust tell you to do. But then there always seems to be kind of that moment, whether sometimes it's failure, like in me, it was I did not achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve doing the thing that I was doing, which led me to like be sad. And then I figured out what I could do. And then suddenly that thing that I could do worked really well in production music.
Yep.
And then I just went from there. And then that kind of mindset from production music made it easier for me to approach YouTube, because it's very similar in you just got to make a lot.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to know it's successful is if you make a lot of it.
Absolutely.
And the only way you can do that is to be a little crazy and to have something a little bit off that says, yeah, I can do that. I'll make 100 videos.
Well, you have to love something about it. You have to really love something about it. That's what I've found. And that keeps you going through the difficulty. Because if you don't have that, like if you're just trying to make money doing something, I don't think you can sustain that as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And as long as it takes, what does that mean? I don't know. It's different for everybody, So, yeah, I mean, what I really tapped into with YouTube, and I'm sure you found this as well, is you tap into more people because you kind of learn that it's all about how you can help them in some way. But the byproduct of that is you attract a larger group of people. Some of them leave nasty comments, but a large portion of them also like what you do, and then they come and check out the other stuff that you do. So it has kind of this top-down effect on everything, at least for me, that I've done, and I'm sure that's the case for you too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they know you, and they like you, because you're laid back, and you're a nice guy, and you're cool, and
all
you're
these
hilarious.
things are true. Especially that.
He feels that way anyway. And
will our sarcastic banter in these videos resonate with anybody else on the planet?
Who cares? Not me. And what you want to do with YouTube is insult the viewer by being like, I don't care about you at all. No. So yeah, I think you tap into that, and then it starts to have this trickle-down effect of kind of permeating everything that you do, and all of that kind of feeds each other. Yeah. And it's been a nice kind of cyclical thing for me over the years. The last couple of years, I feel like I really wish I had started focusing on YouTube more earlier. Yeah. I feel like I wasted the whole COVID thing, which was about the time you got started. Mm-hmm. Everybody was at home watching videos. I was at home not making videos. But, I made a lot of music during that time that I still teach from today. Yeah. So, there's always something to...
But for people who... That's actually one thing that I don't have a ton of regret, because everything just worked in a very clear path to where that's when I was supposed to start.
That's true.
And if you're thinking about making a YouTube channel, which I encourage everybody to do, because you learn so much about yourself, you have such an opportunity to connect with like-minded people like this. And the people who are successful at YouTube, just like anything, like I mentioned a bit before, are a little bit unrealistic on what is required to make it and to put the effort in and the hours and hours and hours. And that's always going to separate people who are just like, maybe I'll make a YouTube video today. Mm-hmm. I just think that this little world is an art form that is just like playing guitar, or it's just like it's its own thing. And you either have the desire to do that thing, to kind of be the all-in-one, because you're always by yourself at the beginning. Yeah. I mean, I have dreams of maybe having a team at some point, but I'm nowhere near that. So it's just going to have to be, what can I do? And
it's been cool to think about, okay, maybe this is growing to the point where I could have a small team or something, but I also really enjoy the process, and I've kind of got it down to a more system. I'm a big systems guy.
Yeah.
Like I love routine. I love having something that I can iterate on.
Yeah.
But a large portion of the groundwork has already been laid. So it took a long time for me to get to that point where it's like, okay, this is the kind of video I like to make.
Yeah.
Because that's important, right?
Yeah.
And
you have to find that balance between what do you like, what do people like,
right.
And it takes a while to zone in on that.
And you still miss all the time. Like there's still, dots all around those.
One of my favorite YouTubers, Dan Mace, his big thing is interested is interesting. So if you are interested in something,
totally,
that has a better chance of being interesting to somebody else.
Yeah, people can tell if it's a video, which is why I stopped doing like reviews and stuff. Because it got to the point, at first that was the only thing I could think of to do because that's the stuff I watched. I was into synthesizers. I was watching synthesizer videos, and that was fun just to tell people like, this is how I use this, which was how it started. Well, then you start to get a little traction, and people start being like, hey, you want to take a look at our thing that we made? And then it feels different all of a sudden. It does
feel different.
It's like you feel an obligation. And you feel, then you're tied to like their timeline of when you can make certain videos. And I very much liked the freedom of just being able to pick a topic, write a little essay about it that's kind of my outline,
Feels
of what I
like
want to do.
With all of these paths, I think of it like an interstate, and there's all these exits along the way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really want to stop, and you think this would be a great place to stop, but oftentimes the best thing is to just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're okay, but I do want to ask this. You, also everybody that I know who does this and gets into YouTube, typically has some other job or music-related thing, and I've always had teaching, or I work at a church, kind of like you work at a church here. Talk a bit about that and how. And I had royalty checks from years and years and years of writing production music, and it takes a while. So that's how I was able to put the time into it. What's your story on that?
So I mentioned the classical background. So I came up the very traditional way of, I really thought my only options were to finish my degrees and then teach other people how to get those same degrees, and do a little bit of performing here and there at other colleges and for faculty, recitals, things like that. And I just really didn't want to do that. About halfway through my master's degree, I realized, I don't think I want to do this, which is it's kind of late.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I built so many skills going that deep and mastering something to that level that have just translated to everything else I've ever done. I feel like sticking with something that's difficult actually pays off. Yeah. That's an important lesson to learn.
Shocker,
that I think a lot of people, maybe they've never stuck with anything that long. And so they haven't reaped the benefit of like the delayed gratification. So that was an important thing for me. But as far as making money, I was doing a lot of accompanying or collaborative pianist work at the universities around, the colleges around, and was working. That's a tremendous amount of work where you're playing like, okay, it's a violin concerto, but the orchestral reduction is for piano. So you're having to sight read all of these basically reduced orchestral parts, which you kind of learn what to fake your way through and what to leave out and what not to. But you're playing really difficult rep, where a lot of times your part as the pianist, the non-featured part, is more difficult than the soloist. And I was like, this doesn't pay very well either, to be, because I was working like crazy learning other people's music. Got really good at sight reading because of it. Better than I am today even, because I don't do that anymore. I started taking organ lessons around 15. I already had been studying piano since I was 8. The more piano skills that you have, the better, if you are interested in learning to play the organ. I always kind of knew, okay, church music is a thing that I could do that would get me out of academia, which I was really sick of by the time I finished the master's degree. And this church, I used to take lessons at this church with Lawrence Macher was my teacher. He was the organist here. He's in Texas now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Kilgore, Texas.
Okay. Texas is kind of big.
I've heard that actually. Yeah.
Everybody's minds were blown by that observation of mine.
Yes, thank you, John, for contributing that. But he was a world-class player. And so I was fortunate to study with him here, and then I subbed for him when he would be on vacation and things like that. And then this position came available like right as I was thinking, what do I do now? Because I had finished school and I wanted to get into film scoring. And that was right around the time I had gone to LA, and I was like, I'm not sure this is it either, so now what? And this job came available, which is a full-time position. I'm the director of music. I direct the choir. I do everything from the console, from the organ console. And I play for all the services, lead the rehearsals, all that kind of stuff, organize the concerts that are here. So it was a full-time position, but it was not a punch the clock situation like a college position would have been. And that, I love fixed work versus fixed time. Yeah. So anything that I know what has to be done by this certain time, fine, that's perfect for me. Yeah. I will work and get the work done. But it also frees me up to explore other things. So that's been a real blessing for me here, that has allowed me to explore all of these other things. It's still it's a lot of work doing both, but I can spread the work around in a way that has worked for me pretty well. So I've been here full-time for 9 years now, and I've been releasing music for about that long too. I started pretty close, not long after I got this job, I started releasing music. And it's been working really well. Now I'm doing YouTube and music and this, and it feels like something's got to give. I don't know what that is, but we'll see what happens from here. But it has definitely allowed me to use the abilities that I developed for decades. I mean, this is not like maybe I can just jump into being an organ master or choir master somewhere. You know, that's something that takes time, obviously, to develop the skills. But it was nice for me to be diverse enough that I had studied organ, even though I was a piano major. I had studied organ and was very serious about it, and it opened this opportunity up for me. So that's how I've been able to feed myself and my wife, and and still explore other things on the side. Yeah. So there are a lot more opportunities, I think, than people think, even in a small town like this. Now, there are not a lot of positions like this around here. Yeah. But they are there if you have the skills and, you're just trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life. Yeah. One thing about being kind of isolated is I am always one that would defer to the better people in the room all the time. And when you're the only person in the room, you have to defer to yourself, I guess. And you just got to figure it out. Yeah. And there's more to life than the music thing. And so you hopefully have your community, your family, and all that kind of stuff. And I had regrets for not moving away, but now I'm so grateful that I have no regrets for anything, the way it all. There was a time when I thought, and it was probably in like my mid to late 20s, when I was like, why am I still here? There's nothing here. There's no opportunity here. Of course, I was creating my own opportunities at the same time. They just weren't paying off as fast as I thought they should. Yeah, exactly. So as long as you're doing something and leveraging the internet, I mean, people complain about how hard it is because everyone can just upload stuff. And therefore, there's a lot of stuff out there, as we know. But if you have skills, and if you can figure out what's unique about you, and there's something unique about everyone. Yeah. If you can figure out what that is and find a way to frame it in a way that is interesting and helps other people too, that's when it starts to really pick up momentum. Well, speaking of that, I've done a few of these now. I went and saw our mutual friend, Chris Bartels. Chris is the man. I flew up to Minnesota, and I got to watch him work, and that was such an inspiring thing for me. I've probably mentioned this in multiple videos, but it was like watching an athletic event. His focus, and
It's very similar to when I watch you play and I watch you switch on at the organ or the piano. You just kind of, you go into a different zone and you probably don't, you're probably thinking about the mistake that you just made on bar 8 of that piece. And I'm listening to it going, I don't know anyone who can do this on this level with, you know, it's so great. So that's me talking about how great you are. So you can talk about how you can teach them everything you know for the low price of...
I'll Venmo you what we agreed upon for you to say that.
You talk a lot about synthesizers. You talk a lot about composition. If people want, after watching these videos of you playing, and they want to learn a little bit more about what it is you do, what's your recommendation?
If you go to the description of any of the videos on my channel, you can find a free ebook that I put together that's kind of... I studied composition with Luigi Zanninelli, who was a genius, in my opinion. Very blunt man, so he would tell you when you did something
usually
that wasn't
what you
great.
need.
Yeah, it's a good thing in a teacher. But he made me totally think about music in a different way and how music was put together, and the fact that it's a process. It doesn't float down on a cloud from the heavens, this cloud of inspiration that we all sit around and wait for. It's something that you have to develop, and you develop it by doing it and trying things, and it's trial and error. And he taught me so many great concepts that have followed me through as I've tried to combine the electronic side as well, in ways that were kind of subconscious for a while. He was just with me all the way, And so I kind of tried to go back when I started talking about composition more and think, well, what are the main concepts that I took away from that experience, and how can I package them in a way that would help other people? And so I just put together a free ebook, and it's in the description of all my videos. And
it's good. I have downloaded.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And a lot of people have, so
yeah.
I'm just going to keep talking about it until they stop downloading it. Is what I say. So. Well,
I highly recommend it to anybody. I need to dig it more into it, because I come from very much of a 1, 4, 5, 6 minor chord chart world, trying to figure out how to embellish what I'm doing or add to it, and I feel like that's something I need to spend a little more time with you.
Yeah, he taught me a little bit more about how to think more linearly in terms of, okay, it's not blocked chords, it's parts.
Yeah.
Each one is kind of its own melodic idea, and how do we get from here to here in a way that feels like the parts are working together, that creates the vertical, but they're all independent too. And so then that gives you a lot more mileage of like, okay, I can pull this one out and this one out. Maybe there's 4 parts total, but I can do just these 2 together and they still work. And that's a really cool thing. And that gives you a lot of variation to go off of. So, yeah.
Well, that's neat. I mean, you're a guy that obviously understands synthesizer drones for 5 minutes, but you also can speak
I have a video about that coming out in like 3 minutes.
Or like 3 months ago.
In like 3 months ago, as it were.
All right.
You're not going to edit this immediately and just...
No, and then say, why is it out there? Okay. I really want to get to the airport because I don't want to miss my flight, but I do appreciate you for hosting me for the past 3 days.
Yeah, it was fun.
I will plug the sample library if you didn't get here from there. I think it's going to be amazing. Although sampling, who knows? We might be releasing this video without a library, but I'm very confident that we got some interesting stuff. So appreciate you, appreciate your time, appreciate your friendship. Hope that continues, and yeah, man.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
It's been fun.
All right, this is when I walk into the camera. I say talk soon. And I turn them both off at the same time for dramatic effect.